Hello, welcome back to another episode of the Halting Talks. Today is me, Scott Acton, and back from Turkey is Jamie Acton. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. Yeah, teeth's all done, hairline's all done.
Look incredible. Look at that tan.
Yeah.
Um, good to have you back. No Aaron tonight because he's still struggling with his back and he's on dad duties. So it's just um, we'll touch on Forest first and then we'll get straight into PSG. I know obviously you weren't there Saturday, but I know you watched it. Big win.
Yeah, massive. I think, to make was it 8 changes, was it? And then still, yeah, 8 changes and then still beat a team in third. Yeah, they didn't have their right back and their goal scorer up front, but still to beat that team who sit third with 8 changes, just I think it speaks volumes to how far we've come, the depth we've got. You know, I've said it before in previous podcasts and episodes that, whoever your starting front four is, you flip it out and put the next, you make 3 changes or 4 changes from that, and it's still top half Premier League quality.
Yeah, I think when the team come through, I think if you took each player in isolation and you said, right, Garcia's starting, Disasi start, and so on, you would have been like, okay, like fair enough. Say it was the first game of the season and that was the 11. You'd be like, okay, yeah, it's a strong team, but obviously making 8 changes just seems like a lot because it's not really heard of. And obviously changing a whole back four is not really heard of. But we said before the game, if we win, no one's questioning anything, you know. And it just went to show how strong our squad is now.
Yeah, and to be fair, I always thought about in the big games, it has to be Boober and Tielemans in the middle, but I thought Anana done okay. I thought when he played, they just kind of proved me wrong because we can play well without Kamara. Because in my head, if there's players in the team that I think if we're without them, then I like that confidence just goes out the window for me. And obviously, the main three off the top of my head is Martinez, Boober, and Tielemans. If none of them, for whatever reason, weren't in the team, like Boober wasn't on Saturday in the starting 11, I'm like, I don't know about that. But I mean, I was proved wrong. I thought Onana done okay when he played, and yeah, like I said, to make all those changes against a team that sits third, and I mean, yeah, you can say what you want about their tactics. They got it horrifically wrong. We spoke a bit about it yesterday. They
Yeah,
got it. I mean, their tactics was so off. But then credit to Nuno that he was able to then switch it and then in turn really dominate the next 60 minutes on from that, And but yeah, overall happy with the performance. I think the second half is kind of what we're going to be seeing tomorrow night. Obviously, we'll talk about that a little bit more later on, but. Sitting in, hitting them on the counter, which I thought we done quite effectively. We had a lot of chances on the counter. So yeah, overall happy with how the game went. Happy that we showed two sides of our game. On the front foot, pressing high, and then sitting in, hitting them on the counter. But yeah, no, happy.
yeah. I mean, to be fair, as the game was playing out, I said to Dad, we need to, because Boris couldn't work. However, they were setting up, Garcia and Matson had so much space to take the ball into. Um, and like before, Villa might not go and score when they're on top, but we had a couple of little half chances, and then obviously Rogers scores. Um, yeah, bit poor defending, but if you're giving Tielemans that much space, he's just going to pick the pass out. And I mean, the touch from Rogers was unbelievable, wasn't it? Good finish on the left foot.
Yeah, I mean, we're running out of words to describe Rogers. I think it was your old man said today about apparently City are after him. I think David Ornstein tweeted it. I saw there's a long list of players that are linked with City. Rogers was one of them, and I think someone said it was like, well, you're going to be paying around 100 million now, maybe even more in today's market for someone like Rogers. I mean, just he everything he does is just he gets better every single time he plays, and you can see that Emery loves him. I can't think of the game where he hasn't started. I know there was one in the FA Cup, but he starts every week. Doesn't never looks tired. He's always on it, and yeah, I mean, I don't know if you noticed the centre half was like doing his socks up as Tielemans played the ball, and Rogers just ran off him, which gave Rogers that extra few yards. So obviously, should have the touch, and then obviously um, calmly slide it into the corner with his left foot. So yeah, poor defending from Forest's point of view, and then the second goal. I mean, Matson does what he was brought in to do. You know, we originally thought start of season that he's this is going to be our left back for years to come. Obviously, it hasn't panned out that way. Credit, for Luca Dean for arguably being one of our players of the season. But what Matson done, twisted Yates up and that ball across. He was doing that last year for Dortmund. That's what put him in the Champions League Team of the Year last year. That's what made him start in the final last year. That's what made us buy him for, 35, 40 million pounds. And yeah, like I says, that first 15, 20 minutes, it could have been a cricket score. We were so good, and they were very compact. Like obviously, they set up how I looked at it anyway. They set up to get a point, and obviously then we went 2-0 up, and then they had to kind of throw the kitchen sink at it. But they were as a five, they're so compact, which is our wingers were pinning them back, and like he says, Matson and Garcia were getting so much space and joy. And as soon as they comes out to press, because the middle three centre halves were so compact, it's just you could play those easy balls into Rogers, into Marlon. But yeah, I mean, I've said it a few times, but I can't get over the fact that we've made 8 changes and we went toe to toe with a team in third. Like it doesn't, no other team can do that. Really, I don't think City probably could have a couple of years ago, but even now, their squad depth isn't as great as what it used to be. They've got academy players start like they had the O'Reilly starting at left back now. Like I generally think we have the best depth in the league, and it just shows. It just shows what we done on Saturday. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you got to give Forest credit because they were off, and I think if they had an out-and-out striker playing, it might be a different story. But you're spot on about the depth. I mean, you go like in our lifetime, the best we've seen is Martin O'Neill's team, but he had a good 13 players, whereas now we've got a good 17, 18 players, and then from 18 to like 22 are still pretty good squad players. If I'm throwing in like Garcia and Bogard into that bracket. Um, yeah, if you made 8 changes 10 years ago, you would have got absolutely pumped. So it
Yeah,
really does show how far and how. I mean, Monchi was coming under a bit of stick on it in January, but you've got to say the recruitment and how that they've filled the squad out now has been like top notch. Um, you know,
it'll be. I know it'll be a conversation for a bit later down the line, but it'll be interesting to see what happens in the summer. Obviously you've got the loan players. Chelsea are open to selling Sassy. Well, all 3 clubs with PSG and United that we've got players from on loan. They're all open to sell. It'd be interesting, if we've got in the market for them. If not, who do we then bring in? And because we've already got such a stacked squad. Even if you get rid of those three, you got the lad from Turkey. I know he plays on the other side, but you got the lad from Turkey who's a left back slash left centre half. You've got so much attacking talent there. Again, you get rid of those 3 loanees, we're still comfortable in a lot of those areas.
yeah. I mean, we were. I was reading things today and yesterday. I think we are. Like I said, it's a conversation for a completely different podcast, but I mean, we do have a lot of valuable assets, and I think they've shown with Dougie last year that you know you if you're smart with your recruitment, then selling players is just the way that it goes in in being in a successful club where you can lose a player. bringing a player, and the fact that, like you said, we can make 8 changes and wasn't really any drop off. Second half there was, and like Nana played well, and then he was slightly dropping off. But then you're bringing on a Kamara, you're like, wow, he's probably our best midfield player. And you think who else? We had Torres didn't come off the. Yeah, Torres stayed on the bench, and Luka Dean stayed on the bench. So the summer will be interesting. If you could pick one loan player to stay, who are you picking? Just on a subplot.
Um, gosh, put me on the spot there. Again, all depends what happens in the summer, because you said with the PSR and stuff. If we have to sell, because if we have to end up selling Ollie, then I'd probably say Rashford. But I don't, it's hard right now. I'd probably say,
There's no wrong or right answer to this, but
yeah, I know, yeah. Right now, I'd probably go with Asensio, just because I think he's been here. He's been here 3 months, and he is arguably our signing of the season. And he brings that wow factor that we haven't really had since probably Jack. Um, so I'd probably say Asensio, but I mean, if I'm honest, if we didn't get Asensio and we went in for Rashford, I'd be happy with that. And again, if we didn't go in for either Asensio or Rashford, and we went, okay, yeah, you know what, we like the Sassy, and they went and bought the Sassy, then again, I wouldn't have no complaints, because arguably all three have earned their right to stay.
yeah, I think Asensio. When I was like little watching Villa, they'd always sign a player that you'd be like, oh, he's like ridiculous, something like Carboni, just Ginola, Mercer, and them kind of players. And we obviously went for a period where we didn't really have that. Asensio is it's ridiculous, isn't he? It's so good.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens, because obviously he will only have one. He only has one more year left in the summer. So
I
if
Asensio will come regardless, and I think it will be whether the financial package for Rashford works. It can be worked out.
yeah,
Is
so that's
my
yeah, it's the big thing, because you have £40 million buy option, which for a player of how he's performing right now is a steal. So you think, okay, yeah, we'll go for that. But then you have the small matter of he's on 350 grand a week. So if he's happy to suck it up and take a cut, a big cut at the end of the day, that's what it would be. It's not going to be, instead of 350, we'll do 300. It'll be a big, big cut. Then so be it. It's just at the end of the day, it's what he wants. If he's using Villa as a shop window, so he can then go elsewhere, then that's what he wants to do, because it's a win-win. Because if we end up qualifying for the Champions League again, and he goes elsewhere, he's helped us get there. We ain't paid no fee for it. He didn't want to be here anyway. But then in the
Yeah,
same breath, if he gets us there, and then he wants to stay, then we've got a player that wants to play for Villa. And it's a little bit off topic, but I saw a Baron interview. I don't know if you saw it, and it was basically saying that he wants to play in Spain, and he was like, "I love my time in Spain. Like, I want to stay here." He was like, "My contract belongs to Villa." He was like, "If we can work something out where I can stay in Spain, that's what I'd like." And obviously, then you flick through the comments, and it's just like, Baron now is probably like a 35 million pound player. How he's been Valencia's player of the season. So he goes there. You got him on the you've got him on a swap deal for Dougie. He goes there. That helps with the PSR, and he didn't want to be here anyway. But if it doesn't, then he comes back, and he ends up competing in midfield with a very stacked midfield we've got. He competes with that midfield, because at the end of the day, if he wanted to move, he'd move. Like, he'd want to be here. So again, that kind of is the same as a Rashford situation. I feel like if they want to be a Aston Villa player, I do reckon it will become permanent. It's just whether or not they want that deep down, or they're just using Villa as a shop window.
yeah, yeah. Like I think, obviously, when the summer comes, or towards it, we will do a set thing, go through the squad on who we think might leave, or keep sell kind of thing. I know you touched on Anana. Someone else that came in, I thought Matson had a really good game on Saturday. Um, like you said, showed kind of what we bought him, but I think over the last few games he has looked a lot better. He obviously he's getting a lot of work, but he is starting to look really good.
Yeah, yeah. Again, like I feel like it's environments, and there's always things that play on their minds. Like it's not a coincidence the fact that he got his first goal for Holland and he started playing for Holland. That now he's bringing the best out of him at Villa. It's like for all we know, throughout the season, obviously he won't get a look in with the Dutch team as well. He was stuck in the 21s. That could have been playing on his mind, and he's like, what more do I have to do, sort of thing. And then he's not in the team because Luca Dean's playing. All it takes is that little thing again. Same with Rashford and Asensio and Disasi. They come from poor environments. They then come to Villa, and everything changes for them. Same thing with Matson. The national team might be playing on his mind. He starts, plays 120 minutes, and gets a goal, and then it's all of a sudden he's like, you know what, this is the level I belong at. And like I said, it's not a coincidence that he scores his first goal for Holland, then he comes back and puts in arguably his best performance in a Villa shirt.
Yeah,
So,
he had scored obviously in the. Did he score in the Cardiff game?
yeah, yeah, he scored in the Cardiff game as well. That was before the internationals, wasn't it?
Yeah, or and then obviously, like you said, he's had a good national break with Holland, and carried it on. I mean, I think Luca Dean. We'll get on to PSG in a minute, but I think Luca Dean will be back in. Um, Before we get on to PSG, then that win has obviously thrown us right back into the mix. We're now Newcastle have played seventh on 51, but we're only 2 points off Chelsea, who are currently fourth with 53. Newcastle are 53, but they've got a game in hand against Palace next week, which is obviously a big game. Um, Kind of pulled Forest in, right? They're only on 57. Obviously, Fulham and Brighton just below us, 3 and 4 points off. It's going to be very tight. We've obviously got Southampton next in the league. On paper, you'd think, yeah, it's another 3 points. Obviously, I know it's not going to be as easy as that, but it's starting to really hot up now. I mean, if you had said we'd take 6 points off Brighton away and Forest at home at the start of last week, you would have said, yeah, 100%. If you go back 2-3 weeks ago when we lost to Palace, you would have thought we were probably out of it, but we've really, catapulted ourselves back into it now.
Yeah, I mean, we're in the hat for Champions League qualification. The good thing is that again, City as well, they're not out of sight either. So
They
in
were
my head,
awful against Man United as well.
they've been awful for a lot of the season. Like a lot of people, like obviously they don't watch the game and they'll go on Twitter or whatever and then just read what other people are saying and then just follow the trend. But they have start the season well for most of the season they've been poor. They hit a good like a little bit of a purple patch, and they had been kind of riding on that. But then again, now it seems like they've kind of come to another little halt. And it's weird with how they've played. Again, I don't want to talk too much about City, but you know they don't seem to press us hard this year. They don't seem to play. They seem to go a little bit more long this year, and it's just
Well,
uh,
now I'm watching that United game. Now that Haaland's injured and they've just got no legs. De Bruyne's legs are gone. Gundogan's legs are gone. Bernardo
yeah.
still, his legs are gone. I wouldn't fear City like I would have done
And I
6 months.
think yeah, I think you said it as well. I mean, this would test my memory, but you said it a couple of years ago about Kovacic when he first went to City, and you were like, "What does he do? Like, he doesn't defend, he doesn't attack, he just kind of retains the ball, but it's always sideways. It's never or setting it back to the centre half. It's never, line breaking pass and like, forward or anything. And it's just like if you have a midfield three of Kovacic, Gundogan, and De Bruyne, that doesn't scare me because I think Gundogan and De Bruyne, in like you say, in like the modern term, they're washed. I don't fear them. And says Haaland's out for the rest of the season, I believe, isn't he? So
I
you
think he's
know,
got like 7 or 8 weeks, so
yeah,
he
which
might
is.
come of it.
But then I mean, I'm pretty like we would have played him by then. We play him at the end of month, didn't we?
Yeah, I mean that is obviously a big one. I think that Newcastle game after next week's second leg at PSG is absolutely massive, just for momentum as well. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, that's a massive game. The other player that I think probably deserves a mention is Marlon. He obviously got a few minutes at Brighton, scored. took that goal really well actually, because that ball obviously coming at pace across the box, isn't it? Was quite hard. It's like quite. It looks easy. You think, oh, you're 3 yards out, you should just tap it in. But you know what, a ball at that speed bouncing up is not easy to always keep under control. So he did well to finish it. But just thought he looked lively as well. I know you listen, he'd come off again, but just a different kind of attacker than we've already got.
Yeah, like I said, going back to his goal, it's harder than what people think because we think it's a tap-in, but you got to be in that position in the first place.
Rum really clever. Nico Williams never even knew he was there. I watched it back
It-
on match. His positioning was awful, but you know, Ireland, he done well to keep himself on side.
yeah, because at first I thought it might have been offside, but no, yeah, it was a good goal. Really well worked again by Matson. But yeah, I think with Marlon, I've said it before about how he might be the quickest player I've seen in a Villa shirt in those initial 5-10 yards. Like he's absolutely electric, and you know if he can beat a man in those 5-10 yards, you're not going to catch him. And he offers something different to us, quite similar to how Rashford plays, but whereas Rashford will kind of stop it, might switch the play and slow it down a touch. Marlon is kind of, I feel, all guns blazing, and it's healthy to have that sort of balance. Because you know if shoes on the other foot. If you know, if I know JJ don't play on the right. Well, if McGinn, for example, you know, McGinn's played on the right a bit. You know, McGinn ain't going to be where Marlon is for that tapping, is he? So overall, I was happy with Marlon. Again, this is what we signed him for. I think he got 17 goals for Dortmund last year. I think it was, and that was he finished their top goal scorer. Um, you know, and I just think that he's such an underrated signing. And again, whatever happens with the likes of Asensio and Rashford, and even so the PSR issues, whether we get rid of Bailey or Watkins, I don't know what's going to happen. But I'm hoping that he gets a bit more of a look in next year because I think he hasn't done nothing. I haven't looked at and I thought he's lacking slightly. Like in this area, like what he's done, he's brought in to get it, run at the defence, cause trouble, get on the block, get in the box, and score goals, and that's what he's doing at the minute.
Yeah, I think he's more after this. I don't know what they would have been thinking when they signed him, but I think with Rashford and Asensio coming in, it's definitely more of a next season. Um, I think he's got a big part to play before now and the end of the season. I think, I'd imagine he'll start against Southampton, and depending on how far we go in the Champions League, being in that squad. But I think next year we'll see the best of him.
Yeah, I
Um,
think he said after the Forest game, didn't he, that he was like, I'm here for a long run. He was like, because they asked him about the Champions League, why, well, is he gutted he weren't in the squad? He was like, yeah, I am, but he was like, at the end of the day, I'm not here just for 6 months. I'm here for a very long time. So it doesn't obviously it bothered him, but he was like, I just need to make sure that it doesn't happen again. And he was like, he just said he was like, it is what it is. You got to suck it up. And yeah, like he said a few times that he was in it for a long run. So that's just what you want to hear from those sort of players.
yeah, it is a project, isn't it? And
Yeah,
we'll see the best of him next season, and so on.
yeah.
Uh, all right, let's go on to the PSG game then. I
Oh
mean,
Jesus.
uh, in the last, how long have you been going to Villa? I won't use my.
um, my first game was Wigan, Hugo Rodallega, like 87th minute, lost 1-0. I think it was in
I've
oh
been
07, oh 07, I think it was.
all right. Obviously, I've been going. Although it doesn't look it, I am a little bit older than you. Um, I would have, if you had said to me when I was little, I wouldn't have believed it, and we probably wouldn't as adults. But PSG quarter final of the Champions League, we were talking about it before, but probably the biggest game that we've seen Villa involved in.
Yeah, I
Oh,
feel like everything. I feel like everything obviously gets put into context because if we get beat, for example, like fucking what they done to Brest, and we get beat 10-0 in aggregate, then it gets forgotten about, and then all of a sudden you're saying that the 94, 96 League Cup finals are bigger. But talking right now is that obviously we're both going up to the game next week as well. It's like if we're in the tie, we both think we will be, then that then becomes the next biggest game. And I said to you, I was saying to last night that tomorrow night is the biggest game that I would have seen Villa in my lifetime. For 23 years, it's the biggest game that I've seen Villa playing, and the Champions League quarter final. It's mad because 6 years ago we were in the Championship. 6 years ago we had some dross in our team. And it's just like even if you look back, and it's just like players that helped us get to where we are now. Like you look at like Kodja, Adoma, Whelan, Hurahan. It's just like they helped us, and they're like Chester. They helped us get to where we are. But then it seems like an eternity ago that they were playing for us because of how far we've come in such a quick space of time. You almost don't have time to reflect. Like you look at all the wingers we've kind of had since then, and even in the past. Even under Unai, it's mad to think about where we've come from. And I remember it would have been 7 years ago. We beat Burton 2-1 on Boxing Day, and I remember going up to that game at Villa Park, and I was like, "What? Like, why am I doing this? Like, why am I spending my Christmas up here watching us against Burton Albion?" But you do it because obviously you love it. And then now, I'm saying to myself, we're playing PSG. We're playing Luis Enrique. We're against Luis Enrique, who's one of the best managers of our generation. We're playing against Ousmane Dembele, who's arguably the best player in the world at the minute.
Yeah.
It's just, Vitinha and João Neves are two of the best centre mids in the world. And it's just like, it's pinch yourself moments, isn't it? Like, we went up to the Bayern game as well. And it's just like, then it was when the Bayern game came around, we were like, oh, this is the biggest game of our lifetime. When the Brighton Conference League qualification online, oh, it's the biggest game of our lifetime. It's mad how far we've come, and it's just I'm enjoying every moment of it, because everyone is expecting PSG to batter us. Everyone is, unless you're a Villa fan, of course. Everyone thinks every podcast I've listened to, everyone says that it's going to be PSG are going to go through. But in a way, it's nice because there's no pressure on Villa. We're the underdogs, and I'm just so excited. I'm excited to see Konsa up against Dembele. I'm excited to see if Disasi plays right back, how he's going to play against Kvaratskhelia, how, Martinez, who's like a World Cup winner, Copa America winner, Yashin Trophy, back-to-back years, how he's going to handle the occasion, getting abuse of all these fans.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking about how Glenn Whelan's going to get past Jackson Irvine at Burton Albion. We're so far past that, and it's incredible, and it still don't feel real. And I'll be watching the game tomorrow, and I'll be thinking about how have we ended up here, because it's again I'm going on a bit, but it's all in like hindsight, and it's all, we had Dr. Tony. If we won that playoff final against Fulham, we'll probably still be in the Championship now. But back then, if someone said, "Look, you need to lose this game to get here," you'd be like, "What? Like it's playoff
Oh,
final, we got to win it." But
that
we
was the worst moment ever, wasn't it? That first Fulham game.
Yeah, but it's just mad how it all swings and roundabouts, and it's just like how losing losing well it is like financially the biggest game in football, in world football, the playoff final. Financially, you don't get no bigger game financially than the playoff final. Losing that has benefited us tenfold,
Yeah.
and I again like to have a manager like Unai, to have a goalie who I think is the best goalkeeper in the world, the best goalkeeper in Villa's history, to be living in these moments, living in the moments where a few weeks ago, the international break, we got three Aston Villa players starting for England, and it's like again I saw,
Don't tell Dad that they're starting for England though.
yeah I know, yeah, don't
He
send
get
that.
the WhatsApp group, mate.
Yeah, no, he don't like the fact that our players are playing. Um, But yeah, it's just mad. Like again, like that hasn't happened since I think it was like 10 or 09 or 10. It was like Heskey, Gabby, and
Yeah, it shows massively how far we've come.
it's just incredible.
I'm excited that you can say Kvaratskhelia better than I can.
Do you know what it is? You know what it is, right? Is every year I play Football Manager, and every single time, for some reason, he ends up as a free transfer, and I always buy him. And it got to. I'm very much like, if I'm playing Football Manager, I'm in my pajamas. I got my initials printed on my pajamas. If I get like if I've got a ban or whatever, I'm like back here like the ladder, like pretending I'm in the stands. But like when I first signed Kvaratskhelia, I went a little look on YouTube. And, I heard him in an interview say Kavitska Kvaratskhelia, and I was like, okay, well that's how you say it. But I still don't believe I says it right in my own head. But yeah,
Well,
Kvaratskhelia.
said it better than me. Um,
How do you say
I was just going to call him Crabber,
it?
but we'll go Failure. Um, I think the key here is it's the biggest game for us because this is the best team we've seen in what we've watched since watching Villa. I know different generations have seen better teams. The '82 team and like Ron Atkinson's team, and we've had good teams in our lifetimes, but this is the best that we've seen. And you're right, we are underdogs to anyone that's got a pulse. And you might think we're being delusional because we think Villa have got a chance, but we have got the ultimate European manager who has literally made his reputation on being the best underdog manager in Europe. This really is Emery's bread and butter. I'm not saying we'll get a result tomorrow. I think if we can be within a goal, uh, then I think fine. But what I've got a feeling that we we will set up maybe in a way that we've not seen before. But this is, Emery's going to be all over it. It's going to be absolutely all over it, and it's the half year of getting to the conference. It's last year. It's now. This is all kind of built up to this, and can we still be brave on the ball? Can Emmy still play out? If Torres plays, can Torres still make them passes into midfield? Can Tielemans be brave on the ball like he has been? It's going to be all them little moments. We've got to be pretty much 100% perfect, I think, to get a win tomorrow. But we're definitely capable. Listen, they've got, like you said, Dembele's probably the best player in the world. Kvaratskhelia is ridiculous. Them three in the midfield. Ruiz is like quality. We saw that obviously with Spain. Vitina and Neves are just machines, aren't they? But the one thing I will say is we've got enough attacking players that can hurt any team. We've seen it in the Premier League. Corners, they're not great at set pieces. And Donnarumma, as good as he is, he's a good goalkeeper, but he's nowhere. He's not good. He's not great with his feet, and they will obviously want to play. So if we can time and pick our moments to press, because I don't think we'll go all. I think we'll stay in a fairly low block. But there will be times that we can press them. Then we got to have a go and be clinical if we get a chance.
Yeah, no, I literally agree with like everything you've said. I'd even go as I know it's a reach, but I'd even go as far as if we lose 2-0 tomorrow, I'm not going to Villa Park thinking this is dead. Like I've because you look at what the City team we played last year at home. We it was I haven't seen a Villa team play like that in my life. We pressed so hard, we dominated them, like. And that team was better than this PSG team. You have to remember this PSG team. Yeah, they've just won the league unbeaten, but if you talk Champions League, they scraped through the group phase.
Yeah, they were
They
pretty poor at the start, weren't they?
they're very poor at the start. Arsenal beaten 2-0 at home comfortably. Again, it's a very different PSG team now. But like you said, we have so much attacking threat that if we soak up pressure, you look at our goals against Brighton, for example. Brighton, how the game against Brighton went is I imagine that first half and even the second half, like how I think it's going to go is that we're going to sit in, going to be patient, pick our moments to press, pick our moments to go all out in terms of counter attacking. We can turn defence into attack with an instant because we got Tielemans who has, I'm pretty sure, well, especially in the Prem. I don't know about Europe, but in the Prem, he has the most line breaking passes. You have someone like Rashford who is an outball in behind. Again, they don't have no Marquinhos either. He's suspended, so they're going to try and target that. You've got Rodgers, who is a brilliant ball carrier, and how I think it's going to work is, if you have Rashford up front, and say you have Rodgers off of him, Guinea on the right, and JJ on the left, you've got so many ball carriers there. You've got Guinea that can tuck in, help um, battling for the ball. You've got JJ Rodgers, who are fantastic ball carriers. You've got Tielemans, who obviously on the ball is arguably our best player. You've got Kamara, who, if he's even a 7 out of 10, is still our best player by a mile, bar Martinez. And you have Rashford, who is just, again, an outball and in the form of his life. And it's just, there's so many. Again, it's interesting because we are massive underdogs, and all it takes is one lapse of judgment for us to get hurt bad. But if we're on it, if we're 100% on it, which I know is a really tough ask, if you've got Cash playing at right back, him against Kvaratskhelia, that will literally give me nightmares. But if Cash is on it, like we know he can be, and we pick our moments again to press and on the transition, because they go, again, I don't know how much of PSG you've seen, but they literally go so gung ho. Like both fullbacks basically act as wingers. They're two natural wingers, the Kvaratskhelia and Barcola tuck inside. They basically got three. Then Bele drops in, so then they literally got Kvaratskhelia, Barcola as the 9. Then Bele as a 10, and then they go so gung ho. And if we can catch them off of that, you know, it, we can hurt them. And like I says, Emery is in one-off games is supposedly the best manager in the world. That's what so many people have said. Is that's why he's predominantly a cup manager. That's why we're in the quarterfinals of Champions League. That's why we're in the semi-finals of the FA Cup. And he would be all over this. He'll know exactly how to set up. He'll know what he wants to do. And you remember, it was only 2-3 years ago he took that Villarreal team to the Allianz and beat Bayern Munich. And it's
Oh,
just, and that Villarreal team he had nowhere near our team we have now, our team we had last year, arguably the team we had the year before. That Villarreal team, player for player, was poor, and they got all the way to semi-finals. And look, listen, if we come here and we're like, yeah, we're gonna get bitched off the ball, we're gonna suffer, it's gonna be bad. Then what's the point? Like, we're here to dream. Like, I'm here dreaming that, hoping that Arsenal can somehow beat Real Madrid and we can somehow beat PSG, because then over 2 legs against Arsenal, I back us to beat Arsenal over 2 legs, and it's just like then all of a sudden you're dreaming of a final against.
uh, see, if we get through, I would want Real Madrid.
Really.
Yeah, I'd just go back to the point of playing Liverpool or PSG. I think if you're playing in this massive European competition, imagine Real Madrid in the second leg of the semi-final at Villa Park. I mean,
I understand that. To be fair, I was just thinking more of a point of like, obviously you're facing an Arsenal team with no Gabriel the rest of the season, no Havertz the rest of the season. You don't know how Saka's going to be, and it's just like
no, that yeah, from that side of it, but I just think the whole point of Europe for us right now is just enjoying it. And if you can go and watch
yeah.
Mbappe, Vinny Jr., do you know what I mean? Them kind of, you'd be like, I mean, we'll get a bit ahead of ourselves.
But
Um,
it's the whole point though. It is all to dream, and it's just like as soon as the group phase got announced, I was like, well, okay, if we can get through this, then imagine playing at the Allianz in the final. It's weird to say because of how far we've come, but it's mad that we could play Real Madrid in 3 games time, and it's just like it's that none of it feels real. It generally hasn't sunk in the fact that we're Champions League quarterfinalists, because all we had to really go off was growing up, like in recent years, was oh, we have a player called Jack Grealish and he's the only probably decent player we've got. That's all it was for years. And now you look at our team and it's full of winners. It's full of world class players. It's full of players that captain the national team, the vice captain the national team, players that have won the World Cup, players that are just unbelievable in every area. And it's just, again, we haven't seen a team like this. And it'd just be amazing if we can just, like I said, if we can be within a goal, and even in my head, if we can be within 2 goals, at Villa Park, anything is possible. We saw it last year so many times. Teams come to Villa Park and they're just generally just not the same. City, for example, Arsenal, even that Liverpool game towards the end of the season, like we should have won that one, the one we drew 3-3. It's just, again, within the goal and maybe two. I feel I am, anything can happen.
Yeah, I mean, if we can't dream about it, mate, there's no point. I feel like last year when we were going for top four, we were kind of so like caught up in it that at times you weren't even enjoying it. Like bloody hell, Spurs are catching us. Where I just think like tomorrow, just and next Tuesday, just embrace it. Just again, we might be deluded, but I fully believe that we can beat them over two legs and get through. My heart might be ruling my head there, but do you know what? If we can't, if we can't, like you said, dream big, then what's the point, eh?
Yeah, and it's just like, yeah, they beat a Liverpool team. They beat a Liverpool team that is coming out. We are like we know we're gonna be playing Brexit ball. We're gonna get it. We're gonna sit in. We're gonna hit them on transition. It's just like that will hurt them because they've gone. They play against teams that sit in low block every week in that league, but you look at that front four that we'll put out tomorrow. Let's say it's
I think we're
let's
gonna
say
like
yeah.
before we'll go through what we think. So Emmy and goal, and then Luca Dean, I think, and Conte are definite shoe-ins, aren't they?
And then for me, I'd also go the Sassy on the right, and I'll go Powell on the left.
See, I think Cash will play.
Maybe. I just think,
I only
I
say that thinking more pace.
maybe. I mean, if he goes with Cash, he goes with Cash. But it's. I don't know what. I don't know how he's obviously gonna
I think the
play it. But
there is it Cash? But you'd think the weekend because Mings played there, it would probably be Powell. And if we're gonna try and be brave, and obviously Torres is probably the one that's the better one on the ball for getting into midfield.
yeah,
Um,
like even though we love Ezri, like Ezri's the best defender we got. I think a lot of Villa fans would say that. But Powell is our only defender that we got that will make those line breaking passes. And, we saw against Bayern Munich. If that's Mings or Konsa or Carlos or Disassi in that situation, they don't make that pass. It's Powell's the only one that can play that pass. And we're going to need that tomorrow night because you think it'll be the other way. You're away in front, you're away against PSG. You want Mings there to kind of keep it all assured at the back. But I think what Torres offers you on the ball is so valuable for what we'll need retaining possession on transition where we're actually going to hurt them because again we're going there to win, we're not going there to sit back and nick a and like hopefully we're within a goal. Like Emery will be going there wanting to win, so I think he'll go Powell. And again, if he goes Cash or the Sassy, either way they got a tough task on their hands because we've been over it. They basically double up in wide areas, so yeah.
yeah, I think obviously Yuri and Booba are certs, aren't they?
100%.
With the front four, I mean, I know you touched on it earlier. I think McGinn will probably play more centrally with Rodgers on the right.
Oh
Just
yeah, yeah,
I only say that just in case Booba drops into the back three and McGinn then drops in next to Yuri. Um, or McGinn maybe plays a little bit deeper than usual in that role, just to give him a bit more protection against their three in there.
yeah. And as well, for all it's worth, their midfield being very good. I'm talking like on the ball, they are unbelievable. None of them are physically strong. Fabian Ruiz is like 6'2", but he's weak as piss. And Vitinha and João Neves are so like physicality ain't their game. So if you can get Guinea on the ball, him sticking his arse out, he'll roll them every time. So
Yeah,
I didn't think about it to be fair, but yeah, Guinea playing central, Rodgers on the right. So for me, it would be Jojo on the left, Rashford up front, just because I think Rashford gives you that out ball in behind, and he's in form.
yeah. I mean, I've written down Rodgers. I do think JJ will play, but Ollie weren't great at the weekend. I would like to see Rashford on the left and Ollie through the middle. I just think that Ollie's hold up play, if he's on it, is a lot better than Rashford's. But I can't see it. I think Rashford will start through the middle. Just think if you look at Ollie when he played against Bayern, if we are forced to go a bit longer, if Emmy can get the weight of the pass right, which I think Ollie looked like he had a bad game Saturday because some of the balls up to him were awful. And yeah, Milenkovic just cut over the back of him every time. But when
Yeah,
we played, he was able to spin Upamecano or whatever his name is. It was so effective. And obviously Marquinhos isn't fit, so you'd think they would be Kimpembe would come in, which probably means they've got two left footers at centre back.
yeah. Because I mean, it would have been Marquinhos and Pacho, but yeah. So I'd imagine Kimpembe will come in. But yeah, they got. I don't know if he's fit, but they have Lucas Hernandez as well.
Yeah, but
He can
he's also
play.
well, isn't he?
He's also left-footed as well. So
I think the
yeah,
balance, you know,
yeah, if you can pin
I,
whoever plays right centre half, you can pin him in. Then yeah, you're right. But again, if he goes with Ollie and he plays Rashford off the left, or even if he plays Ollie and has JJ off the left, it doesn't bother me because you look what we just said then. Off the bench, I know Marlon's obviously ineligible, but you've got, if we go by JJ on the left, Watkins up front, or Rashford. So let's say we've got JJ on the left, Watkins up front. You've got Rashford and Asensio, and I don't know if he's fit, but Bailey to come off the bench, attacking wise. And it's just to have those players come off the bench, they belong at this level. So there's so many things, ways the game can go and the ways they can play. I just think you need to pick your players that get us up the pitch because we're going to suffer a lot.
yeah,
So that's why I think JJ will play, just because he's ball carrying, same as Rogers. Them two ball carrying, drawing fouls. Guinea for the battling in the middle. And then again, if they go for Watkins, then they go for Watkins. But I'd be confident with both. The only reason I thought Rashford is because he was on the bench. Watkins obviously isn't 100% fit at the minute, and Rashford's obviously in good form.
yeah. All right, let's have a prediction then before we wrap up.
4-0 loss. um, do you know what I've said from day dot? Yeah, again, even when we were playing Rotherham away and stuff, I always said that, like, no matter who we play, I always go for a Villa win. And I always used to give the example of, even if we were playing against PSG or Barcelona, I'd still say we'd nick it 1-0. And that's exactly what I'm going to say. I'm going to say we're going to nick it 1-0.
I'm gonna go for a 2-2. I think that
Take.
I just hope that we're in the tie. That's all, so we can really.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but either way, we'll enjoy it unless we do get hammered now. But
The thing is that we're expected to get beat 3 or 4-0 tomorrow. That's what everybody thinks. So we're the underdogs. That's Unai, like you said, Unai's bread and butter. We're going to sit in, soak up everything. We're going to hit them on the counter. We're going to hurt them on the counter. They're going to get a lot of chances. So we need to ride our luck at times, like we did against Forest on the weekend. And if we can ride our luck and pick our moments, then there's no reason why we can't walk out of there heading back to Villa Park. Whether it be within a goal, we're drawing, or we're even winning.
yeah, either way, mate, we'll enjoy it, and hopefully we're all smiling come 10 o'clock tomorrow night.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're saying we're all going to be enjoying it. Your old man's pacemaker will be going quite sharpish. He'll be in the kitchen from like third minute.
But yeah, I mean, I might be at mine, but I dread to think my mum would be getting an earful.
Yeah, I know. Shaz, what's the score? Shaz, what's the score?
I know, I
It's only
know.
5 minutes in.
It ain't even kicked off yet.
The players are walking out.
I mean, yeah, let's just like I said, let's enjoy it. But that would do us. We will be back in between PSG and Southampton. Hopefully, Azzy will be back as well. If he can sit down for long enough with his bad back. But I think that will do us, mate.
Yeah, sound.
Um, anyone new, thanks for subscribing. Get it out there. Any likes on the video, much appreciated. Any comments and any feedback. We will be back after the PSG. Yeah, cross your fingers and up the Villa, mate.
Up with Villa.